Okay, our third speaker is Daryl from Zany Technologies. He's going to bring us an exciting idea called Key to Singapore.
All right, thank you, Kenny. So I'm Daryl, the CEO of Zany Technologies. Previously, I was the Vice President of Product at the Mobile Gamer. So it was a startup that was being acquired by Singtel, SoftBank, and Konami. So safe to say, I love my games, so much so that I even made games myself. So beyond games, and when we look at games, we look at AI, right? Most of the games were a gaming AI, artificial intelligence, as we so term it as. So after that whole chapter, we had that vision of how much more can AI move into when it comes to real-life application, real-world application. And thus, with that vision in mind, we founded Zany Technologies with the mission of bringing algorithms and artificial intelligence into real-life applications. So let's start off with a very, very memorable experience that I had when I was a little kid. When I was young, I grew up reading this book series called The Chronicles of Narnia. So Narnia was a mythical land where this little boy found out that he could enter his wardrobe at home and then he'll emerge in this amazing land with magical characters and talking animals. So in the story, he meets this talking lion called Aslan. So being a young kid, loving the story so much, and it was an amazing story that was even being made into a captivating movie series. So I remember entering my cupboard. So I entered my cupboard, I stayed there for a while, wishing that the talking lion called Aslan would appear. So I did hear some voices after that. I opened the cupboard, and what I was greeted was my grandmother, a talking grandmother with a rotan. So no Aslan, only got rotan. So rotan, loosely translated by my Peranakan grandmother, means cane. So I got a whipping after that for staying in the cupboard. It's a very dangerous thing to do. But my point here is that people love being immersed in stories and adventures. And what we are aiming to do with gamification is to give them the keys to these adventures. So the new tourists that we have found out, based on our research, was beyond family with children, beyond young couples, living in a digital age has also made us more fickle-minded. In fact, buying a car is very, very different from buying a car 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you visit a vendor, you buy a car. Nowadays, you spend nights on Google trying to find out what is the best deal, what is the last transacted price for this car model, hoping that the moment you purchase a car, you get the best end of the deal. So similarly, we are experience seekers, and we want experiences which are very, very immersive and very, very affordable. So we want the best deal ever. We want to be the hero that everybody goes to find the best deals. So what exactly is gamification? Loosely defined, gamification is the concept of using game mechanics, so game elements such as badges, levels, and most importantly, rewards, in order to perform real-life tasks, so much so that it becomes a habit, it becomes familiar to use. So tourists have already been rewarded, and we have already seen the application of simple game mechanics in real life, such as SIA's KrisFlyer Miles, where the more you book, the more you fly with SIA, the more points you get, and then you redeem it for rewards. We have also seen in more interesting circumstances where shopping malls have also launched their own version, a very, very stripped down version of games as well. So the key here is how then can we create a story? How then can we create an experience that is unforgettable, even for return visitors? So we found out that the strong narrative of games brings a lot of continuity and coherence to seemingly very, very separate occurrences. So for example, a morning at visiting temples, cultural heritage sites, having the best chili crab at perhaps Jumbo, and playing games, very, very traditional games, and of course ending the night with a concert at the Float. So that was a typical day that I went through in Singapore, and without knowing the story of SG50, without knowing the story of the 50 years of independence that Singapore has been through, I think the experience would not be as coherent as it would be. So being able to launch gamified mobile apps would also allow you integrated functions such as transport integration. So moving from place to place has been made very, very much easier with Grab Taxi, and we'll be able to integrate all these platforms in as well. So maps and language packs as well. So finding your way around, and especially for a foreign visitor as well, you'll be able to use the application. So travel and being a tourist in a foreign land, it's a lot about interactions with your surroundings. So you really want to understand the narrative of the story, and this is a place very near our office. I'm not gonna share which street it is, but if anybody knows which street it is, you could just raise your hand and shout out. So gamification would then allow you to experience a whole new Singapore every single time you visit a site. So think of it as the architecture will remain, but the different thematic layers would change. So here it is, me experiencing the secret life of coolies in 1910. And this, in fact, was a very, very strategic place in Singapore where merchants gathered. So clue is, it's being named after a merchant, a very successful merchant. So, and then perhaps flavor of the day would be Nonya, Peranakan. So I would then also be able to experience a whole new different experience in my second visit to the site. Learning about Nonya culture, what exactly is Peranakan? It is a very interesting mix between the Malay and Chinese culture as well. So, and this was a true story. So I brought a group of French counterparts over, met them during the college days. We went pub crawling, and we challenged ourselves to see who would be able to complete the most beer pong session in the various pubs around. So there we were, we created our own games unknowingly. And where gamification come in as well is also to make it very, very easy to enter any experiences, and at the same time not be bored of being back at the same place, looking at the same buildings. So how exactly does it work? Let's take a look at Sentosa. Take for instance, today I'm here with a bunch of my friends. I love my sports. I like a lot of high venture hobbies. But perhaps my friend would like something more cultural, more heritage, to understand more about the roots of the island itself. So I could select an Indiana Jones adventure and be able to experience iFly. I love it a lot, and zip lines. I could also be put into the shoes of an evil genius and then go around the island experiencing the different theme parks, understanding the different mechanics of all the attractions, and take a look at some of the sculptures which are seemingly physically fine. And of course, we would be able to enjoy the story of the Fountain of Youth as we visit the various spas located around the island. So this allows Sentosa, or in this case the attraction manager, to have a very branded and cohesive experience for its visitors. So this curated content would allow us to have greater ownership of the value chain, at the same time foster greater loyalty. And also with all the different actions being performed through gamification, consumer behavior can then be tracked, and then subsequently we'll be able to make more informed recommendation based on the consumer behavior. And as the saying goes, we vote with our dollar, right? So based on the different spending habits, we would then be able to customize different events, perhaps for the roadmap of the next year. So event organizers could also be able to put all these statistics to good use and be able to contribute back to the statistics as well. And most importantly, the interesting part would then be, how can gamification revolutionize coupon sale? So we find out that coupons coupons are very, very powerful when it comes to binding consumers to a certain attraction and to give them the best deals that they can find. So back to this gamified app, and as we look at the mechanics of how in a game it's all about quests, performing different small little tasks, somewhat like a very popular Korean reality TV show called Running Man, where a group of people actually go onto different tourist sites and different sites in the vicinity to complete several tasks. And after you perform a task, and because it is in the form of a mobile application, you would then be able to know perhaps what time does your next ride start? Is it 10 minutes? And if it's 10 minutes, then you don't need to sit idle and wait for that 10 minutes. You could just swing by another attraction and then come back here to play your Transformers 3D ride. And after you do this, you then get you will then be rewarded with the next quest. So in this case, diving with the sharks at Underwater World. So this allows user to follow a very, very simplified, very, very distilled experience, personalized to their own individual liking. And of course, for Sentosa in this example, they'll be able to access all these different statistics and data. And the most powerful thing here is that Sentosa can then offer time-based flash sale, perhaps 1 hour, and then you push this discount up. So within the next 1 hour, anybody who starts on that quest, or anybody who completes that quest, would be able to purchase, let's say, a limited edition Disney Princess plush toy at half the price. So, in summary, gamification can make Singapore very, very different every time a visitor comes back. So once again, same architecture, minimal changes, but a whole new different thematic layer over. And the purchase coupons and credits will not only give visitors the best deal that they can find, but also they would have vested financial incentives to return as well. So in conclusion, people love to be immersed in stories and experiences. And what we're doing with gamification here is to give them the keys and the tools to Singapore. Thank you.
Hey, Daryl, sounds exciting. And gamification sounds really sexy and magical, but it also sounds a bit complicated. How much does it take to implement this? Is it a lot of effort, and how will one go about doing this?
All right. Usually buzzwords are always very, very scary to look at. So when we look at gamification, it is the magical thing or the important thing about gamification is that it can take place very, very quickly. That's number one. And it's very, very easy to implement. So if you look at the concepts that we ran through earlier, when it comes to gamification of certain tourist attractions, there is number one, minimal changes that you need to do on your architecture. Number two, because of that, it is highly cost efficient and it is very, very minimally labor intensive. And then if you look at the customers or the visitors, returning visitors would then be able to enjoy a whole new different adventure on that same piece of land that they have enjoyed going to previously, but they want perhaps a different perspective of it. Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. So if you have any further questions, please save them to the end of the presentation. We've come to the last presenter. May I just invite Alex from